Morning, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Um, I'm still, I know, I look at the obscure. I'm still kind of watching this whole Ukrainian thing, which is a nightmare. And it's very interesting. The whole Chernobyl nuclear power plant factor is really interesting. And probably one of the reasons that I think it's interesting is probably because my age. Just having sort of grown up with the knowledge of Chernobyl being the worst nuclear disaster uh, in history, and that the steps that were taken to try to keep people safe, were so dramatic. And so this is very interesting that, it comes back out, and that's not to minimize the effect of what's happening in Ukraine. But for me, it's been kind of interesting to watch. Yesterday it came out that the levels of the radiation levels were increasing around Chernobyl. And I was really having a hard time with that because, well, I'm not that kind of scientist, so I don't know the science really other than what I can read in a newspaper. And I didn't understand the connection between why would if the plant is operable and if it's doing what it's supposed to do, there was no attack on the plant or anything like that. If there was no damage done, then why would there be increasing levels of radiation? And so I've watched several people talk about it and discuss it. And yesterday, they don't believe that someone fired on the nuclear plant. They don't believe that at all. They don't believe that there's been a breach. Nothing like that. But they do know without a doubt that they do know that the levels have been rising, and there's an online. I don't know if this gives the site. Hold on, let me see if it gives the site. There's a place that you can go online and you can see the monitors that watch the radiation levels. And so anybody can access it. It's not something that's protected. I'll need to find the website that you can see that on. But when you look, because I clicked on the link, but when you look at this radiation monitoring system, the area around Chernobyl, they call it the exclusion zone. And of course, there should be absolutely nobody moving in that area, living in that area, hunting, you shouldn't be doing anything. There's obviously a crew that goes in and works at the power plant, but they spend limited time there every day. And so online, it looks like it's a government website for the UA Parliament. I don't see an address for it. I'll keep looking. Shoot, I was going to try to put a link up, but I don't have a link here. So anyway, you can see the map of the Ukraine, and then there are bright red dots. There's a lot of little green dots, and then there are bright red dots in several really specific areas. And so you can match those dots up with, you remember when I had the live map up yesterday, you can match that up to areas where there was, fighting going on. So, as I've been kind of trying to collect newspaper articles and read about this, it would appear that the re or the well, first of all, there are conflicting stories between the Ukrainian officials and the Russian officials. Now, we do know that yesterday Russia officially had control of the power plant. It was Ukraine that originally said, "Hey, we have rising radiation levels," and Russia came out and said, "Oh no, everything's fine." Well, then a little later on yesterday afternoon, then Russia came out and said, "Okay, well maybe they're up a little bit, but they're still within what are considered normal levels for this exclusion zone." And then within, I guess it's been in the past 20 minutes, maybe the past 20 minutes, and it could have been earlier, and I was asleep and didn't see the stuff, but um, now they're coming out saying no, the levels have exceeded the safe level that's been set for the exclusion zone around Chernobyl, and that those places on the map that have where the green dot has turned red, those are the areas that you're looking at where the air levels for radiation have gone higher than what was set as being safe for that area. So there's no doubt at this point, because now even Russia is admitting that they're rising, and Russia is sending in a special group of people that they're saying will contain Chernobyl or whatever it is that's happening. So the different people that I was watching, the thing that was said that seemed to make the most sense to me is that these were they brought in tanks, they had some heavy armory, the big trucks, and whatnot, and that it is the movement of the tanks and the large vehicles having many people on the ground walking around, that they're actually disrupting the dust that has settled over the area for years and years, since 1986. And that the heavy tanks or the heavy vehicles and the movement of a lot of people, that is stirring up the radiation. And so what would have been, beginning as to turn into sediment in the ground and would eventually hopefully be covered up by even more layers of dirt and dust, it's now been disrupted, and it's being let, back up. It's being injected back up into the air. These are really fine particulates. They're really lightweight. So it does sound like, it sounds like a mess. The State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate of the Ukraine said to this morning, in the last couple of hours, the control levels of gamma radiation dose rate in the exclusion zone are exceeded, and it's in multiple areas that it's exceeded. You can see it with the red dots. Local experts connect this with disturbance of the top layer of soil from movement of a large number of radio heavy military machinery through the exclusion zone and the increase of air pollution, meaning the dust and whatnot. The condition of Chernobyl nuclear facilities and other facilities is unchanged. So they're trying to get the word out to say, don't freak out. We're not having like a nuclear meltdown, at the power plant. But it isn't good that they've stirred up all this dust that had begun to settle. Let's see, the data from the automated radiation monitoring system indicated that the control levels had risen, and it's impossible to establish the reason for the change in the radiation background because of the occupation and military fight in the territory. This is very, even that's just kind of gray, isn't it? It's kind of confusing information. the Chernobyl exclusion zone. It's 1,000 square mile area forest around the plant that nobody should be going in and out. It is actually flourished in terms of vegetation and animal life. It's flourished since the really since, well, it happened in 1986, and then by about 1990, they began to notice things seemed to be coming back, turning wild, and life was sort of taken over again. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, it's so long ago. The Chernobyl is a location. It's between it's between Belarus and it's in Ukraine. It's between Belarus and the Russian states. And it's in April of 1986. There were multiple explosions, huge fires, and this resulted in like a giant radioactive cloud that floated all over Europe. And the fallout and the radiation poisoning devastated the landscape. It continues to be the worst nuclear power plant accident in the history of the world. It's monitored, it's studied by scientists all the time, and so my curiosity, because I'm a neophyte, I'm not a military person, and I thought, why the hell did they focus so hard on Chernobyl? Because it seemed like the first thing they did was to go in and take out all of the landing sites, the airports. They took control of all that. By yesterday morning, U.S. time, by about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, the equivalent of the Navy SEALs in Russia, they had control of the Kiev airport. So they knew what they were shutting down the airports first thing. That was first thing right off the bat. But then it wasn't long after that initial kind of fail-safe action, then they target Chernobyl. And I thought, that is, I mean, I'm not a military person. I wouldn't know what they were going to do, but it did surprise me. I thought, well, that would not have even been on my radar. I wouldn't have even thought of that. So what are they doing? Of course, the internet and all the great conspiracy theorists out there, there was a lot of talk of, that they were going to use it for a nuclear disaster. They were going to make weapons. They were going to do all these nefarious things with the plant, but that's a little bit silly because Russia's a nuclear power. They don't have to steal uranium to cause a disaster. They have thousands of nuclear weapons, ICBMs. I mean, they're not going to have any trouble if they want to cause that kind of mischief. So I didn't really understand it. But then last night, more people, I feel like I'm fighting for airspace with my bird. Hey, hush. Calm down. Why are you talking so much this morning? Sorry. Anyway, last night they all started, the professionals, the experts on this kind of subject matter, they all came out and said that the reason they targeted Chernobyl is because it's actually the closest route to go from the border of Ukraine into the capital city of Kiev. All of the so-called experts in the Western media were saying, oh, they're going to come up from Crimea. They're going to come up from the Black Sea. They're going to come up and make their way through. That really isn't what happened at all. They kind of surrounded it, but it looked like the main invasion came through Belarus with the blessing of the Belarus president, and making that trip from if they take control, if they have an open road between the Belarus and Chernobyl, then it's a really, really short. It's a really, really short fight into Kiev. Kiev being the capital city, and that's where you would supposedly take control of the country, right? So all these other little towns out there, you wouldn't even really be worried about. Some other foolishness. so not that's foolish. It makes sense. It answered my question. I said, okay, well, I can live with that. That does definitely make sense. Now the Chernobyl team that works there, they have been on a scaled back group since February 15th because of coronavirus. And so they don't have many people there that are working, but there is, Ukraine is outraged because they claim that the decommissioning team that works in Chernobyl, that they are being held hostage by Russian troops. And I don't think that Russia's come out and denied that. Or if they had, it's been like, no, they're working. But so that's another area of interest related to Chernobyl is, are they really holding hostages? I don't think I want to talk anymore about that. I can say that Chernobyl, when the explosion happened, it became such an environmental disaster. So many people were harmed and killed. They did go through the world through International Atomic Energy Agency, that the world took extraordinary steps to build a concrete shelter around the area of the accident that was leaking radiation, that was contaminating things so badly, and have robots that work inside of this concrete containment area. But all of the particles that are on the outside, they had begun to settle into the ground, which is what you want. And then you want time to dump more dirt and more dirt and more dirt, and kind of basically bury it all, right? Over hundreds of years. So they believe the increase in the radiation levels is due to the heavy vehicles, and the the amount of movement that's now happening in that area. So it's kind of, all right. So Kiev is really nervous. We know they had the airport yesterday morning, but I think yesterday, it's kind of interesting. Yesterday, they were saying it would be 96 hours before Kiev would fall. And when me and Piddle and Bill went to bed last night, we were laughing, and he says it's going to be like 24 hours. Not laughing like, haha, it's so funny, but laughing that the media got it so wrong, and I don't know. I mean, at any minute, I guess, they could walk in. I don't think, I can say this, I don't think that Zelensky and his family are still in Ukraine, even though that is what's being reported. The reasons that I don't think that he's still in Ukraine, because the last couple of addresses that he did were recorded. They were not live. They were on a Facebook type of broadcast. The flight radars were showing Black Hawk helicopters with jets that were going in, not fighter jets, but like private passenger type jets. And I think it was then that they were evacuating the families and the high officials. So I don't think Zelensky is in Ukraine. They're claiming that, but I don't think he is. I think he's out. So, and I think that Putin thinks he's out. I think they're going to walk into an empty office building. I think they're just going to get downtown and they're going to walk in. So I could be completely wrong about that, but I can't see that. I don't know. It just seems strange to me that they would still be there, right? Okay. Yeah, it is scary. And many of you have sent emails or comments or whatever, and you've said, this is interesting to have this up and talk about this. It's different than the whole true crime, stuff. I gave it a lot of thought about whether I wanted to talk about it or not on my channel, and I think you almost have to. And the reason that I say that is because we really have not seen this. in our modern lives. These are the kinds of wars that we read about in our history books. What happened in Afghanistan and Iraq, that's not that was one country or multiple countries with sophisticated military training and plenty of money for the best, newest types of weapons and equipment, compared with people that were digging rocks up off of the cobblestones in the street. Okay, so it was not a battle. It wasn't an equally waged war, not by a long shot. Lots of human rights abuses, money to be gained from these fights with Afghanistan or Iraq. So there were a lot of motivating factors that somebody would cook up a little, scuffle, right? Ukraine is so dramatically different. We don't stand to benefit financially. They are important to Russia because of the whole gas being sold, the oil and gas being sold to Europe, and pipeline problems. And so for Russia, there's motivation. What if he wins, if he's successful at what he does, then his country gets something back. But it is odd that, it's odd that it was allowed to simmer and grow, and for a short time, Ukraine was actually the third biggest nuclear power in the world. Didn't know that. Third largest nuclear power behind the US and Russia. And through some talks and some agreements that went on back and forth, basically Russia made some promises, Ukraine agreed, and all of their, the majority of their nuclear stuff went back to Russia. So they do still have some capability. They have a well-trained, with great equipment, their Air Force. They've got a lot of modern on the ground equipment. Their forces are well trained. They've got US, UK, EU advisors on the ground training them, meaning professional soldiers that are training them on what to do and how to do it, how to use the equipment. This is the kind of war that you count the casualties in the tens of thousands. This isn't going to be the domination of somebody standing there holding a rock in their hand. So I don't know. And I can't. I'm gonna say this. So there's a lot of frightened people in Europe. A lot of people feel that this is a replay of Hitler in 1939. That Putin may not have one single goal in mind. He may be drunk with power. He walked into Crimea and basically just took it. Nobody did anything to stop it. And then they went into the Donetsk region and backed the rebels there that were fighting against Ukraine, and really met no kind of pushback at all. And there are some of the think tanks are saying, he's a warrior, and he's old KGB, and he got a taste of it. He got back to his glory days, and he was empowered and being there, calling the shots and using the capabilities, of the Russian war machine. And now he's hungry. Now he's got a taste for it. And that this latest 48 hours where he had so much success just walking into the Ukraine, that maybe he will decide he wants a little bit more. Maybe he will decide to go to the Baltic states. Maybe he will decide to, travel into Poland. So there are a lot of people that are a bit older that are old enough to remember what happened during World War II. They're frightened. And they're not frightened in a conspiratorial way, but they're really disturbed by what's happening and what is he trying to achieve. Germany definitely has a stake in the game. They are begging the UN and the US, UK not to they want a carve out on the sanctions for oil and gas because Germany gets 37% of their fossil fuels from Russia. Russia is benefiting from $105 a barrel oil. That's a very complicated situation that we're in. This is not walking away from Afghanistan. This is not anything like the Middle East. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting to watch. And when you watch something and you really don't have much of an idea about what the goal is for the person that's driving it, it can be addicting. It can be pretty hard to, tear away from. I personally think, without the whole conspiracy theory stuff that I love, just being rational, I think Putin got really uncomfortable. I think he got really uncomfortable with the pressure that was being put on him by the EU and the United States, moving, defensive weapons closer to Russia. That's really no different than what Kennedy did, the whole Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's really no different. It's exactly the same thing, except instead of it being a U.S. president who gets firm, it was a Russian president that got firm. So right now, I don't believe that he'll go any further than the Ukraine. I don't. And I know there's a lot of people that would laugh at me. There's a lot of people saying, no, he's unhinged. He's going all the way. I can't see how he wins. I don't see how he wins by doing that. And remember, warriors, they like to win. They don't want to just fight to the death. In fact, that's what they want to avoid. So I believe, just from a human motivation perspective, I think he'll go in, he'll take Ukraine, and he'll be happy with his prize, and then he'll sit back to enjoy the spoils of war. I think he'll take his win and be a happy person, as opposed to Hitler, who couldn't take his win. He was all jacked up on amphetamine and whatnot. And so every time he'd go in and invade and take over another town, he was actually more invigorated and ready to move to the next one. But I don't think Putin's going to do that. For one thing, Putin's healthy and sober. No, I think he feels entitled to what he did in Ukraine, because due to the what he was interpreting as threats against him and against Russia. And when people feel threatened, people get aggressive and they take action, So I think he's going to be happy with the win. I think he'll take Ukraine and then it'll be over, and he'll enter the world stage and be connected to Ukraine policy. That's what I could be being very naive. I admit it. But just thinking about human beings and why we do the things we do, no, I think he'll be satisfied. I just can't see that he wants to be able to celebrate, right? He wants to be able to say, I won. So, I think. Okay, so let's look. 12-step woman, you disagree with me, okay? Miss Catherine is in the UK. She says this could escalate quickly. Oh, completely agree. This is like walking around with a can of gasoline around an open fire, right? No, I agree. One wrong move, people could mess up. No doubt. I agree. Foreign Affairs Council, Institute of American Relations. That's my grandpa. I do not think he is trying to rebuild another Soviet Union at all. I think that is mainstream media and Biden. I would agree, Alicia. I don't I don't think he wants to burn it all down. I don't he's a warrior, he's an academic in terms of studying historical war and conquest. Um Believe me, if the rest of the world is making a parallel between him and Hitler in 1939, then he has made that parallel. He's a brilliant person, mind. um I think he would be the first one to tell you that Hitler screwed up by spreading himself too thin, making too many enemies too quickly. Right? The conquest went too fast. He didn't stop to make friends along the way. Um, that is, I don't think he believes that he can triumph over the United Nations. And if he goes into Poland or he starts messing with the Baltic states, then the UN is going to step in, and then it will be a war between Putin and everybody else. China will stand with Putin. They will. North Korea, they're not really much to it other than propaganda. But China is not propaganda. China is a real, partner. So I don't think that they'll do that. I think in this day and age, I just can't see him doing it. I can't see him doing it. I think he will be happy to take the win in Ukraine, and we will be done. We won't hear anymore, I think. Let's see. Remember the poster of Putin shirtless on a horse? Oh, absolutely, Mary. But it's not. The Russian people love Putin, right? They adore him. They think he's cute and funny, and he's such a masculine man. The mainstream media is making a big deal this morning about the number of anti-war protesters that are being seen on the streets of, Leningrad, or it's not called Leningrad anymore. What's it called? Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. The capital of Russia. In Russia, if you protest against the government, they arrest you. Okay. And so they counted, I think, about 1,700 protesters. And the mainstream media was making a big deal out of that, and they were saying, no, he's overstepped, he's messed up, the cost is going to be too high, he's losing popularity at home. 1,700 compared to multi-millions of people that adore this guy. His approval rating is in like the 70s. I think Biden's is down like around 30 something. So you can write whatever articles you want to. You can say whatever you want to. You can weave whatever lies and tales that you want to weave on the internet. There's always reality. And the reality is, if you're a president, you enjoy nearly 70% approval rating in a country with millions and millions of people, and you've got 1,700 people that are speaking out against you, that's not enough to cause a policy shift. Half of the country is speaking out against Biden. That's not causing him to bat an eye. He's got an idea about how he wants to move forward, and he's going to move forward. So I don't think that 1,700 people is going to be enough to make Putin go, oh, I shouldn't have done this. What a bad person. No, he knew why he did it. Whatever craziness, we're looking at it obviously and thinking, you're crazy. Why did you do this? But he clearly knew what he was doing. I mean, he knows why he's doing it, but we don't know why he's doing it. Putin strives to exploit the West's aversion to conflict and addiction to wealth. Well, I think Putin is fairly addicted to wealth too. He's a fairly extravagant guy. In a lot of ways, he's a lot like Trump in liking the finer things in life. The media lies and tells the people Russia is still communist when it's not. Oh, no, 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 no. It's not. There's plenty of people that are aware of this and they don't like it. They recognize that the Ukrainian people and the Russian people are the same. You know, that no, there's a lot of people that don't like this, but they do like They do like Putin. Specifically, they think he's done a really good job for his country. But it's really hard to put stamp of approval on your president stealing an entire country. That's very hard to do. It doesn't matter how much you love your guy, right? So he must have had a reason. That's all I keep going back to. He's not a stupid person. He's brutal. So he's obviously getting something, but at this point we don't know what. And so we just have to we're just waiting. It's kind of a waiting game. If you've gotten interested in the story, then it's a waiting game. We're just waiting to see what they end up doing. Let's see. They thought the same with Lenin. Chernobyl is the reason. Yeah, Gigi, no, that is common. If there are any protesters, they immediately get arrested. Yeah. Hey, main girl, how are you? Okay. So we'll just keep watching and see, what happens when they take the government offices in Kiev. Language of Horses says I don't like Putin anymore. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I mean, I'm with you. I'm shocked. I can't believe that he did this. And yet I also understand he's been asking for relief for a long time. He's been telling the EU and the US to back off, that they're violating agreements, moving talking about defense weapons, not offensive weapons. That they've been moving them closer and closer to Russia. It's just sort of been a tit for tat, kind of a power struggle happening. And something went on that finally tipped Putin over, and you mess up when you go too far, you mess up. I will tell you this. I don't fear the United Nations. I don't fear Biden. I don't think either of those two groups are going to attack Russia. No way in hell. They're not going to attack Russia. I would be very surprised if they tried to go into Ukraine. I wouldn't believe it. So I think it's just a matter of time. They'll have the offices in Kiev and it will be over. And a lot of people say it's not right. Sorry, I was yawning. A lot of people say that's not right at all. That this is going to be a war that lasts for a long time. It's going to be really bloody and high loss of life. I just can't see that. The group of people that are in the UN right now, the person that's in the White House and in Congress right now, I don't see any of them taking actual physical movement toward Ukraine. I can't see it. And I don't think there'll be any strikes on the Russian motherland either. I don't think they'll do. They're not going to provoke him. He knows that. He knows they're not going to provoke him. He knows that he's made people uncomfortable thinking that he may be a little, unhinged kind of. I didn't like Putin to begin with. If I were a Russian living in Russia, I would like him. He is doing things to secure natural gas and a warm water port for his country. And that's kind of the way that I look at it, Alessia. He is going to, if he's successful in this, he is going to, Russia does benefit, right? So it's, I don't know. It's a weird, it's a lot to watch. There's a lot going on. I think Putin thought it would be easier to take the Ukraine than it has been. I don't think, well, maybe Callie, but don't you think he knows the Ukraine? Don't you think he knows what their capabilities are, what they have? I mean, they have great spy equipment, assets. They've got plenty of people on the ground in the Ukraine. I think he knew what he was going to encounter. I could be totally wrong. I'm just giving my opinion. I do think he was unpredictable. I think he surprised people by attacking the entire border perimeter before going in. Everybody was saying that he was going to go down the middle and he was going to cut the country in half, but that's not what he's done, right? But you're right. He's lost a lot. He's lost multiple aircraft, airplanes, multiple helicopters. They've lost at least 15 tanks, and that was just in one battle. No, there's definitely been a high cost for Russia too. They didn't get out of this unscathed. That is for sure. It's been a really hard battle so far. I think the Ukraine is fighting harder than he expected. I think Putin thought he'd have Kiev on the first day. While we are so worried about this, Biden is running bombings in Syria again. Oh my God. Every time the bombing in the Middle East starts, I just get nauseated. It's terrible. People have been beat back to the Stone Ages. Awful. Yeah, so they said one of the things, Callie, they said that when there were some tanks and some large, personnel carriers that were headed to the border, I think in Belarus. And as they were driving through the country, that more and more people, just private citizens, got in their cars and went with them. And so they've got a lot of what would be private citizens that are fighting alongside the Ukrainian military. So it's different, right? When you're fighting for your home, when it's your land, as opposed to when you're the guy that's invading someone else's home, right? Yeah. So it's very interesting. This should not be an attack. What? This should not be an attack. Biden live. He didn't attack Ukraine. Is someone attacking Biden? I must have missed that. It's not Mexicans crossing our border. Oh, yeah. Y'all are talking about a lot of other things. No, there's a lot of citizen Ukrainians that have joined up with the military to try to protect their home. Putin would never have done this under the last guy. Well, I don't know. Look, human beings like to theorize. We like to think about fantasy. We like to think about the what ifs. And it's filled many hours of social get together time, whether it's done online or whether you're sitting around the fire drinking a beer with your friends. People like to talk, right? And And the majority of people are not sitting there recounting just cold facts. Majority of conversations among people are things like, well, my opinion is this, and I think they should have done this. And what if they had done that? That's the normal human experience, right? So there are a lot of people that believe that because, I'm going to say traditionally, historically, because I'm not sure it's that way now, but historically, there was this belief, even among people of other countries, there's this belief that the United States was sort of like the world policeman, right? That we were supposed to be the moral, ethical standard. And if world leaders went out there and did things that were offensive or against, basic human rights, then, we were the cavalry to come riding in and fix it. Well, maybe that happened, during World War II, World War I, but it's not like that anymore. The United Nations was set up deliberately to become the world's cavalry, the watchdog. And even though the United States does provide a great deal, a great percentage of the money that goes to support the United Nations, we're one vote. I mean, there's still the influence there, but not anything like it was even a generation ago. So when Hitler, everything happened and the Allied troops went in and saw the concentration camps, there had been rumor about what he was doing. There were rumors about these camps, but people they didn't want to believe it, that it was possible. It was too monstrous to imagine. Now, the people living in Germany, living right there in the towns where these camps, were located, a lot of them historically have come out and said, no, we wondered what was happening, but we convinced ourselves it was okay. But a lot of those people were working as support to the camps, and they saw the living conditions. They saw it. So they set up the United Nations to try to avoid that future. If the person in the White House or the collective Senate or House of Representatives, if they're viewed as being highly influential and part of their influence is protection of basic human rights, then the despots in the world recognize it's going to be a much harder fight, because I'm not going to have nearly as much influence with the United Nations as what the US president has. You see, that's how they make that connection that, if you have one president, then maybe Putin doesn't invade. But if you have a different type of president, you get another kind of Putin. And so a lot of people, you can go back and look at the newspaper articles and the comments that were the white papers that were written when Afghanistan was abandoned. There were many people that came out and said, okay, you just sealed the fate of Ukraine, Taiwan, and South Korea. You've just sealed their fate because you've allowed Putin and Xi, you've allowed them to see what you're not going to do or what you've lost the ability to do. And you're not going to be able to be that person who mobilizes the world's leaders to stand up against a despot. We never should have left Afghanistan. Not the way that it was done. We just let the bullies take it over. And now people are dying left and right. They're unaccounted for. They're living in imprisonment and misery. It's a nightmare. Is there any guarantee that Putin wouldn't have done this if another president had been in the White House? Absolutely not. He obviously has a goal. And the only thing me and you can do, because we're just citizens. We don't have any special knowledge or contact. We just have to sit and watch what he does in the aftermath. We'll learn a lot about who he is and why he did what he did based on what we see him doing in the coming weeks. If he goes into Poland or the Baltics, it's time to go buy, a 100-pound bag of rice, I guess. I don't know. I also don't know. I'm not going to say that, but I have a hard time seeing this big world disaster, the end of times. I can't envision that. I think that every generation life changes quite a bit according to the people, what we've learned and what the new technologies are. But no, I think World War III would be devastating. And if he goes after Poland, I know he's also looked at the Baltic states and some other things, but Poland to me is the line in the sand. You stay out of Poland, you can survive it. You go into Poland, Putin will not survive it. Yeah, I worry now about Taiwan for sure, because a match up against China is a suicide mission. And I think that the little fat guy in North Korea, I think he is getting real excited right now. I think he's watching this and he's getting very, very excited. And he's looking down south and he's thinking, wow, I could be the guy that puts Korea back together. Now he won't ever be successful. There's no doubt in my mind on that. But I think he's thinking it. I think he's becoming a problem. Hold on just a minute. Let me let my little dog out. She sees a squirrel. Just a minute. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so let's see. Anybody else got anything to say? Gas is up to almost $4 a gallon. Oh my God, I know. We need to strap in and get ready for the gas because it is going to go sky high. It was $1.67 when I moved here 2 years ago. Hey Tiffany, how are you? You were the first one to tell us to get a 2-week supply of canned goods 3 years ago. I'll get the rice. Tiffany, that's so funny. Remember, I was called a conspiracy theorist. It was said that I was trying to instill fear to get channel views. That I was being hysterical. Y'all remember all that? I told y'all you could go get the N95 mask at Lowe's from the in the painting department. So yeah, no, I'm not hysterical, but I understand economics and I understand where the flow of products has been manipulated. And so I am very curious if Biden if he will roll back some of the regulations that he's put in place that have stopped the drilling in the United States of America. I am very curious if he will open up construction on the pipeline in light of what Russia has done with the Ukraine. The massive flow of oil, fossil fuels, oil and gas coming from Russia into the other parts of the world, it is going to be crippling not to have access to that. And with the sanctions that are being levied, if they go and decide that they're going to put the same kind of sanctions on the oil and gas, I don't know why they wouldn't, because the gasoline, the oil is now $100, $105 a barrel consistently. There are professional traders that say they're looking for it to go up as high as 180 if certain conditions happen. So all they're going to do is just make Putin rich. If they continue, 37% of Germans' use is coming from Russia at $1.05 a barrel. They're just making Putin rich. So it's a mess. It's illogical. They have made this just from the perspective of oil and gas, which is something I do know. Just from the perspective of oil and gas, the price of oil, inflation, the supply flow, drilling it in one country, shipping it to another country, countries that are not allowed to get their own oil. It's a mess. They've made a mess of the whole system. So who knows what's going to happen? But I do think that we can all anticipate that the price of our gasoline some experts are saying it's going to go as high as $8 a barrel in California and was it New Jersey? I think they said. Here in Texas, I have no doubt it's going to go maybe $4, maybe $5 a barrel. The states that you have to truck it even further into the center of the country, it's going to go even higher. I'm sitting here right now. I'm going to tell you all this. I noticed this 3 days ago. Sitting here looking out across the ocean, right? There are no ships out there. And normally in the morning like this, they're stacked up waiting in a line. Waiting. I'm talking about like the tankers. There's no ships out there. Where the hell are they? So I don't know what's happening, but they're not here. I don't know where they are, but they're not here. They're not in California. I go to the grocery store and there's fewer, fewer products on the counter, on the shelves, and that's a little worrisome. I don't know. Surviving the storms. You have great views on this. Also, I want to apologize for the way I treated you. I see things for what they are now, and you didn't deserve that at all. Apology absolutely accepted. Surviving the storms. I have been through this. This has been happening for, well, right at 2.5 years. When I finally spoke up, it was 3 years ago that the dog whistling and the underhanded stuff started. 2.5 years ago, I said, leave me alone. Why are you picking on me? And that started an unbelievable campaign of bullying. And so this is just a continuation. This is nothing new. And it happens to everyone. I challenge you to go to the latest live and make a list of all the different people that she's going after. Make a list. That is all you need to see. A normal human being does not have that many enemies. It's not like that. She bald-faced lies about me. Bald-faced says that I do things that absolutely never did. She completely doxes me, and my attorney will be in touch. It's out of control, and she is going to burn it down. She is going to eat herself up with the rage. So anyway, I have no problem. Everything's fine. I do appreciate your membership. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. All right. It's all drama all the time. A complete drama channel. Ugh. Yeah. No, I'm bored with it. I'm bored. Sometimes things happen and they're amusing and it's kind of, you can chuckle. It's kind of funny. But when it gets really aggressive and violent and there are horrible threats being made, then it's just sad and ugly, and you don't want to be around it. It's nasty. sad is my mood, sad and heartbroken for these unnecessary. No, I agree, Tiffany. I was thinking about that the other day when we were getting word that, Russia had begun to invade Ukraine. I just thought, no, not again. Let's don't do this. We just got out of Afghanistan and Syria, and let's just quit for a while, just quit. And it just seems, Tiffany, there's clearly people that are making decisions that, are living a life that we are not, because we look at this and it just looks bad. Why would anybody ask for battle, for a war? It's just awful. It's really awful. And you see the pictures of the people, the Ukrainian people that are in the subway system hiding from the bombs, right? It's so sad. I agree, 12-step. It takes great courage to apologize publicly, and it takes a great deal of integrity, right? That is a very good person that publicly will own up, and really, Dorothy, what happened was not, you didn't treat me badly. I felt like it was unfair, but what I was, the thing that I was more disturbed by was how so many people were saying, oh, I hope mommy knows how much we support her. And the one lady said, well, I've never watched Jules, but since I've heard what she's like, I'm not going there. Those kind of things were actually to me, that was more upsetting, right? So let's get, no, I totally agree. I have no problems with, none. I'm good. It's not unexpected what's happened. It's predictable. I guess that's the best way to say it. So it's fine. I promise. It's okay. Jules, were you aware that our oil reserves were given to India? We no longer have them. I was aware of that, Alessia. Unbelievable. Questionable. One must ask themselves the goal for that. It would appear to the people that are in the know about fossil fuels and the reliance of our country on fossil fuels, it would appear that someone is choking off our oil supply. But who do you point the finger at? You don't know. But definitely something. You talk to the people that own the oil companies, they know something strange is happening. Character assassination on steroids from Merb. She is engaging in character assassination of many people, and she is making claims that are very strange. She's very angry, had something to do with Frilly Farmhouse, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what I don't want to say any more than that, but I don't know what the issue was involving Frilly. But she says that I condoned it. She says that, well, she doxes me and she says, that I condoned it, and that I'm a psychologist and I don't know. She's trying to get me in trouble legally. But I don't know what she's referring to. I don't know what happened. Do y'all know what happened related to Frilly Farmhouse? Thank you, Callie. That was very nice of you. Thank you. I'm in total agreement. I don't think we will send troops in. I don't either, Yvette. I think it would be, I will be completely shocked if even if United Nations goes in, I'm going to fall off the bed and hit my head. I think we can definitely expect that United Nations troops will be going into the Baltic states and Poland, but that will be under Article 4. That won't be for an offensive or to into Ukraine. I don't think they'll do that. They'll just post on the border and say, "Hey, don't make the mistake of coming into Poland," right? Yeah, I think there are many people that don't know that, Alessia. And the medication, humanitarian relief, or any kind of aftermath would be the United Nations, right? Oh, Frilly Farmhouse is awesome. Absolutely great. Yep. You can hear Kitty Dog. She plays in the morning and she sleeps the rest of the day away. She's an old girl. Yeah, but they won't, Alessia. They don't understand it. You just don't, if you're 2, 3 generations living in the city, you just want to go to the grocery store and grab a loaf of milk. I mean, a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk and go home, right? You just walk in, it's there. Or when you walk in, you want to turn your light switch on and have lights, or open up the faucet and have water. You don't give much thought where it's coming from, right? But the truth of the matter is that it is a very complicated process with a lot of moving parts to get your cereal, your bread, your milk from, wherever they're collecting it, somewhere overseas 9 times out of 10, wherever they're collecting it, get it packaged, get it shipped over, and then truck it to the store and then put it on the shelf. A lot of moving parts worked for you to be able to walk in and grab what you want and leave. Even one part of that supply chain falls, then you walk in to buy bread and milk and you go, "Hey, where's the bread and milk?" Or you go in to turn your lights on and there's no lights and you go, "Hey, who do I call?" And people just, we've gotten out of touch with real life, how things happen. We've just gotten out of touch with it. We've gotten very soft in our affluence. So the oil and gas is a huge problem. Do you know how there have been more people that have died in the name of oil and gas than have died for religion? That's not a real statistic, but it's something that I, believe. Um, Oil and gas is survival in this day and age. It's survival. It makes millionaires. It brings the food to your door. It makes the clothes you put on your body. It makes the fire extinguisher in your house. You're surrounded by petroleum products, and without them, we're crippled. She is old. Sage, quit. Sage is barking at me. That's not Kitty Dog barking. That's Sage barking. She's looking in through my French doors at me. She's saying, "Hey, I don't want to be out here. I want to come inside with my mom." She cannot be away from her human. She has to stay right at your feet. Even though she can see me right now, she's about maybe 6 feet from me. There's a door between us, and that makes her nervous. Okay, let me let her in. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. Um, all right, it feels to me like we, the U.S. and Europe, have all been set up. It feels a little like a game of chess, but that's Putin. The people that study him and know him, they say he is a master manipulator. If you're expecting him to do A, he's going to do X, Y, Z. He's unpredictable, which makes him dangerous. And it doesn't help that currently we seem to be a country without direction. I don't know why. My opinion is that Biden is his worldview. I think he sees himself or the United States. I think he sees us as a very important part of the whole United Nations structure. That we're one part of a machine that has 40 parts, and even though we have a lot of influence, we still don't make the rules. And I think for people that are more traditionalist, and we kind of liked, the whole, we're the great, saviors, we're the cavalry. I think they don't like looking like they're just part of the group. I think they want to be the leader, and so they don't like that. But they may call Biden weak or whatever. But I don't think it's weakness. I think it's his worldview. I think he believes that the most effective management style on the world stage is to be aligned with many, many other countries, that there's more influence and power there. My complaint would be that, the United Nations they really haven't given the impression that they're willing to do what the mandate claims. They're not the ones to rush in and save people. For example, when the U.S. decides, hey, we're getting out of Afghanistan, why didn't the United Nations go in there and protect the women and the families? Huh? That was a perfect opportunity in my mind for the UN Charter. But no one did anything. They just left those women and children to the wolves, literally to the wolves. So I don't know, it's easy to find fault with any candidate. It's easy to find fault with any person filling a seat, but it's a lot more informative to try to look at it from a positive point of view in terms of what are they trying to achieve, rather than looking for booger bears under every rock. And it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to look for booger bears. I love to watch the videos on Nibiru. I think it's amusing and interesting. And, do I go to sleep at night afraid that a planet's going to fall on my head? No, I don't. But we go to movies. We go to the movie theater. We watch Batman, Deadpool. How is that any less or more entertaining than somebody who's making videos on YouTube of Nibiru? It's almost like a fictional kind of documentary kind of thing you're watching. It's an interesting way to spend your time when you're kind of bored with sterile facts and numbers. And, not everybody can be on stage being a professional at every moment of their day. That is not normal on any level. It is also not normal, can I say, to... What are you doing, buried behind bars? What are you doing, pretty bird? Y'all should see it. I know I stopped at mid-sentence because he was playing and having lots of fun. Are you playing? Are you having fun? Yes, he's a pretty bird. Pretty bird. I bought him some new perches that are made of real wood logs, and he loves them. So he's bouncing around from perch to perch and having a good time. And he has this this blue thing that hangs from the roof of the cage that you put some kind of plant in it. I don't even know what the plant is. but he loves to like fight with the blue thing. Like he thinks it's another bird. I'm really thinking about getting him another bird, y'all. I'm really, really thinking about getting him a companion. But my fear is he going to be mean to the new bird? Mandy's in the house. Welcome, Mandy. How are you? So y'all tell me, is Barry behind bars going to kill his mate, or would you think it'd be safe to get another bird? Oh, maybe that is Millette that's in the little blue container, Callie. Hi, Snow Lion. How are you? Jackie Hughes is thinking important thoughts. You are singing so loud today. Oh, he's chewing on his new perch. He likes that. It's a real branch. He likes it. I can see the future. He's going to chew it in half. I bet you anything. He likes it, though. There's no doubt about that. You like that? Is that good? Anyone who says birds don't have personalities are not paying attention. There is no doubt this bird has personality. Are you cold, Scottie Nona? You think he'll be okay with a new bird if he's not a baby? What if he's grown now, though? I mean, he's much bigger than when I first got him. Your bird was a jerk. Oh, I'm sorry, Alessia. I do too. If I were a wealthy woman, I would get an African gray. They're the best talking birds that there are. But and can I say that something too? When you have those birds, um, the African gray is so intelligent, like having a dog, right? They the standard of care that they require, they almost need a full-time mom, right? They almost need somebody home with them a majority of the day. And I don't, that's not my lifestyle. I got a lot going on. So I don't, maybe when I'm older, I may think about it, but they live a long time. That'd be the other thing too. They live a really long time, and you wouldn't want to get one when you're an older person, and then 20 years after you get him, then you pass away, and who's going to take your bird, right? So I don't know. But anyway, for now, little Barry, he needed a place to live, and I had, some open countertop space, and so he found himself a home. He's no longer a homeless little bird. I used to keep finches. They have marvelous personalities. And I like hummingbirds. We have a lot of hummingbirds here in Galveston. You got our weather from here in Colorado. We have been in the single digits and below zero. And how much snow, Alessia? You guys in Colorado, they were dumping snow on you by the bucket loads. All those angels up there, they were just, ha, 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 here's another one. And they just dump another bucket on your head. The skiers love it, right? All right, I'm gonna be honest with you, Vicki. I'm very surprised at how loud this bird is. And so, yeah, I'm sure finches are loud. I never would have believed birds would be this loud. You got a foot of snow in Massachusetts. I love Boston. I don't normally like big cities. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a country girl. But Boston's one of those places I could just walk the street and just look at all the old buildings. It's beautiful. And I love to go eat lobster out at the bay. You, Kathy, there are a lot of people that have taught their parrots to cuss. Most of those birds have come out of like fraternity houses, and they can talk some, boy, they could talk some words that would make Mommy Ramblin' faint. We didn't get much here in the burbs. We only got a few inches, but the mountains got a ton. Yeah, the mountains were inundated. Yeah, absolutely. I saw where Colorado Springs, which is a bit further south, Colorado Springs they were under the gun too, though. It was very cold where y'all were at. Very cold. I wish I could live in Colorado. I love Colorado. Colorado. It was 50 degrees here a few days ago. Oh my God, no, Lesia. No animal abuse, please. Oh, that's gonna earn me another doxing. It's sad. They got a lot in Colorado Springs, closer to the mountains. Warm one day, cold the next. Well, yeah, I think that's what happened with the bad weather. We had been so warm. Woo, excuse me, I'm yawning. We had been so warm, and then the cold air came, and it all hit right over y'all's head. With lots of snow. The sun is shining. Yesterday it snowed most of the day. It's been very cold, but yesterday the temperature shot up over 30 degrees. You had a heat wave, Snow Lion. Maybe, Alessia. Maybe. Normally, dogs and little cats, but they're very good. They're calming. They reduce blood pressure, ground you in reality. A lot of people, there's a lot of places that go into like nursing homes with therapy animals, and the residents love the dogs and the cats. I'm always nervous about the cats though, right? Because cats are kind of, well, they have the tools to really hurt you if they wanted to, right? The dogs never bother me. I never worry about the dogs. I always feel confident. They're predictable. But how predictable is a cat? Cats are not predictable at all. You may think you got the best cat on the planet, but if something gets underneath that cat's skin, it could be a rodeo. Purring helps reduce blood pressure. Yes, absolutely true. Yeah, the ability is not there, thing one. It's going to be that old saying, throw the baby out with the bathwater? Yeah. She's going to burn everything down. She's going to destroy it all. And now she's going to take everything and put it on her blog, so she's going to destroy her blog. It's a sad thing to watch. Hey, Martin Smallwood. How are you? Why does cuckoo come to mind? I don't know, Martin. I'm going to blame it on Barry behind bars, okay? My cats are always sweet with me. They are terrified of strangers. Do we have any word, Barry, on the Barry hearing? Wasn't he supposed to have a hearing today? Oh, 12-step got a good breakfast. I'm so jealous, girl. You have a good day. Wasn't yesterday 14 days to get the cloud information from the phone, I think. Hey, Sandra. I know. I wish I had a nice, yummy breakfast waiting on me. No, I did not hear, Alessia. What happened? Oh my gosh, I'm nervous. My blood pressure's going up. What happened? One of the cats keeps going out to play in the snow, 5 degrees. Oh my God. Yesterday, wait. Yesterday, the defense brought a motion to dismiss the case. Judge ruled no tweeting from the courtroom. So the judge is actually taking it under advisement? He's considering. God damn it. I told y'all that damn DNA. I told y'all that was what was going to get them, was that DNA, and that Nielsen and Eaton had no intention of ever going into a actual trial, that they were going to try this case before it ever got into a courtroom, and that they were going to use the DNA and they're going to use the bank accounts to get everything thrown out. I told y'all that. Man. So I'm afraid to ask, what was the response of the prosecution? Did they blink? Like, was there even a movement, of their shoulder? Did they do anything? Wow, this is crazy town. Crazy town. The prosecution didn't say. Golly. What a shame. What? So do you know if Linda Stanley was in the courtroom? Hey, pretty bird. Hello, pretty bird. Hello. Hello. Gigi said, I threw Eggo waffles in the toaster. That worked for me. You're right, Yvette. He's gotten very quiet. He's watching me, though. He's okay. He's okay, little beard behind bars. So Linda Stanley is losing the biggest case of her career, and she could not be bothered to be in the courtroom again. And the prosecutor that was there, was he like an old gray-headed guy? Looks like they're going to drop the case. So they didn't put up a DNA specialist to try to counter this. My Barry's going to be the only one behind bars, right, Scarlett? They're scared of those two attorneys, Alessia. They're scared of them. If they were really ready to try this case, they would have been waiting for this motion to dismiss, and they would have had DNA experts come up and say, just because you have extra DNA doesn't mean it has anything to do with what happened in the disappearance of this woman. It could have been a mechanic that opened up that glove box. They're not even trying. They're throwing the whole thing. I bet the judge is not in thinking mode. I bet the judge is making it look like he's thinking so he can throw the whole thing out because nobody wants to deal with it. Yeah, they're afraid of super lawyers. They're afraid of the two super lawyers. Unbelievable. Yes, he did, thing one. Yes, he did. It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Lauren tweeted, prosecutor Mark Hulbert investigation ruled out DNA pending lab results. Huh. I know, Alessia. Are you mad? Huh? Are you mad? Do you demand justice? Huh? Demand justice? The only silver lining in the cloud is that good old Barry is probably going to be broke after he pays off his super lawyers. Oh, yeah, the super lawyers are going to get a big old chunk of that money. Hey, Intuition Cake, how are you? Can't do it, Barbara. You got to let the law take its way. I haven't seen this prosecution argue for anything. I've seen the defense stand up and yell and scream and wave their hands around. They're fighting. The prosecution is not making a case. They are passively riding along like they don't know what to do. You're singing so pretty. You're singing so pretty. Pretty bird. That is what usually happens, Kate. Yeah. I wonder if MK regrets so voting her. MK. Who is MK? I wonder if MK. I keep thinking Michael Kors. MK. Who is MK? Oh, is that Mike? Oh, okay. On Profile and Evil. Okay, I'm with you now. Yeah, right. You see how invested I am in this whole internet thing. Well, I think there are some people, you know, that feel like that relationship was really inappropriate, and all the bragging and stuff that went on, passing information around, it interfered with the proper, prosecution of the case in the long run. I think it definitely robbed her of her credibility, in my opinion. So, well, shoot. So did they give us a time frame to wait on for when the judge is going to rule? Something doesn't add up. I believe they have the evidence. It's very odd, though, don't you think, Martin, that the prosecution is choosing to do nothing? They just don't say anything. It was a huge conflict of interest, Kathy, at its basic core. And telling somebody when you're going to arrest Barry so they can drive by and get a photograph of it, that was 100% unethical. We don't have a time frame. He just said he's going to take it under advisement. Huh. Did they give it? Did they have another? Do they have another court date? He did not praise Putin. He just said that, that he was smart, he was cunning. Um, the people that study Putin, they will tell you he's brilliant. His brain is genius. Um, but he's not moral. He's a killer. He's not a ethical person. Scott Peterson hearings begin today. Speaking of monster husbands, are they going to allow any kind of cameras in the room, or we don't get to see that either? Well, it is revealing that they don't talk about it anymore, right? What, Martin, when you say that it makes you wonder, um in what way? I mean, you don't really believe that they're going to let Barry walk, right? Do you think they're maybe thinking about bringing additional charges to someone else, that it's going to turn into like a conspiracy kind of thing, something bigger? The leaked radiation is disinformation. No, I think everybody agrees that the radiation levels are up. Not because there's been a breach in the containment, but because people are just out walking around in all the dirt, and the heavy tanks and stuff are releasing radiation back into the air. Yeah, that's right, Caldonia. I watch a lot of different people, I read stuff online, I watch, the all the big television, and somewhere in the mix you may come across the truth, right? But so many people now work on an agenda. Do we know if there's going to be cameras in the court with Peterson? Nobody knows. I'll have to see if I can find it. So Martin thinks it may end up going to something bigger. Interesting. J is for Justice has a link on her community tab to listen directly. Is that the Peterson hearings, Yvette? Okay, great. Good. Thank you for telling us that. I appreciate that. So there's going to be audio from the courtroom, I suppose. So we could try to listen to that and see. Um, Obviously, if you go over and listen to the link on Jazz for Justice and you're not subscribed, you probably should, or at the very least, do a thumbs up. As recognition that she's given some important information. Based off of what AK shares regarding his efforts, it makes me feel like the prosecution has no interest in finding Suzanne. He feels he knows exactly where she is, but needs their assistance. I'm very suspicious of those who join channels to form alliances. YouTube is not reality television. No, YouTube is not reality television. I agree. From what I can see, Barry is done and dusted. Yeah. But you think there's more to come. Starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, which will be 9. Oh, 9. So around 12 o'clock here, I guess. We are talking the Morphew case, Caledonia. From what I can see, there is done this. No, there's a reason, Martin. There's a reason why the people of Salida are afraid of Barry. And there's a reason, even by Barry's own lips, he said, people don't like me here. There's a reason, right? And well, I don't know if Martin has seen him, but I've seen him. I've been face to face with the guy. He has a very strange vibe. He will make you incredibly uncomfortable. There's something about him that is not, you can't even name it. It's so odd. I asked Vanessa on Unmasked. I said, what'd you think? She said, oh my God, it's so strange, the energy coming from him. So I talked to a couple of people that know Barry and Suzanne, like, very well. Like, they were friends before Suzanne went missing. And I talked to them both that day that I was out at the fairgrounds. One of them, a woman, her and her husband were really good friends with Barry and Suzanne, but she was mostly friends with Suzanne, right? They would do things as couples, but she was primarily good friends with Suzanne. And she said that she was horrified when she heard the testimony where Barry was saying that Suzanne was a drunk and that she was using drugs, because she said that never, not once, did she ever see Suzanne even slightly inebriated. That the idea, maybe Suzanne is, high or intoxicated, that never even came into her mind ever. That when she heard in the testimony them saying that she was completely taken back in a state of shock, thinking, what happened? What is he talking about? My friend does not drink and use drugs. What are you talking about? She said that Suzanne was a health nut, that she was always eating fruits and vegetables, making good choices for her health. She brought exercise every day. And she said that there's no doubt in her mind that Barry was absolutely lying about his wife drinking and using drugs. And the girl said that their mom did not drink. So she knew on that day that he was full of it. I talked to another guy who is connected to the case. I'm going to be careful what I say, but connected to the case, could be a witness. Really uncomfortable. just you're friends with somebody and then you find out that they've been arrested for their wife missing. And so Salida's freaked out about Barry Morphew. People can feel from him that something changed. He did something, and they said he was different. He changed. No, Barry is not in jail. Hi, Mary. Hey, Mama Lynn's. Hey, Jules. Welcome. Yeah, we were talking about Ukraine, but then Martin came in and we started talking about Barry Morphew. I just found out that the defense made a motion to dismiss yesterday. Were you there, Jules? I agree. Suzanne deserves justice. Absolutely. And I will say this too: the people that are trying to blame the Ukraine on Trump, you're being very shallow. You really need to learn more. This is what's happening in the Ukraine is a really complicated set of circumstances, much bigger than Trump. Trump didn't. He's a very small piece of all the moving parts. Yeah, no, her friend told me that, Martin. We started talking, and she did tell me. She said that she was good friends with Suzanne. And so I interrupted her after she was talking for a bit. And I finally interrupted her because I thought I want her to know who she's talking to. And I told her, I said, I want to be really clear. I have a YouTube channel. And I said, I want you to know I'm not going to say a word of anything that you've said to me at all. But I also want you to know that I do have a YouTube channel and I am talking about this case on my channel. So she said that I could say anything I wanted to, that she didn't say anything that she wouldn't have said herself. But one thing she did ask me to do was to be sure and put the truth out there that she was very good friends with Suzanne. She saw Suzanne every day, and that there was never, not one moment, never even the slightest hint that she thought, oh, Suzanne seems to be too sleepy, or she seems to be too goofy, or maybe she's a little drunk, or maybe she's a little high. That never. She said that Suzanne was always the same. She was very consistent. She was always smiling. She was always calm and welcoming of people. She was just a really good person. And she was consistently a good person. She didn't go between ranting and raving to trying to be all nicey nice. That she was solid. So she did want that out there because she is 100% convinced that this mess about how, oh, she's got drunk eyes, that is just not true. That is not her. She was attending Al-Anon because of her own father was an alcoholic. No, that is misinformation. That's more of the narcissist tools to separate somebody from someone that matters. Narcissists love to lie. They'll tell you the biggest lies to get you away from someone that they don't want you to be around. Yeah, I think this thing that's going on with I think this stuff that's going on with Ukraine and Russia This has been going, this was in the works, I think, even before Trump was elected, because wasn't Hunter Biden working in the Ukraine for 8 years before Trump was elected? No. This weird relationship with the Ukraine is a throwaway country. It's small. It's nothing on the world stage. It's odd that there's so much tension on it. It's a weird thing. It is. People should look at what's going on in Taiwan. We have no reserves. We gave them away. Yeah, well, the strategic reserve is actually a mandate. I don't know why he took the strategic reserve and emptied it. It makes no sense. And it just like it doesn't make sense to have all of our pharmaceuticals and medical equipment made in other countries. That makes no sense. We are easily held hostage by the rest of the world at this point in our career, or not our career, but in our lifespan. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, you please be careful. I mean, I believe this in my heart. What happened in Ukraine is really about, I believe, my opinion, I think it's really about Putin and the European Union. That's the problem. That's where it rests. It's the oil and gas. I believe that's what's at the heart of all this. Are the European countries that are dependent on the Russian oil and gas, the pipeline that is easily cut off. Yeah, it's not that the U.S. has any. We don't have any skin in the game. We're not going to benefit in any way, I don't think, from this devastating invasion of Ukraine. I think it's just more of the God Almighty oil petrodollar. But I could be wrong. Welcome, Anna. How are you? Yeah, I do remember Red Dawn. Great movie. Semiconductors. Well, yeah, but I don't know. So we don't know when Judge No Drama Llama is going to rule on the motion to dismiss. Is that what y'all are telling me? Let's see. Let me pop out of this incredible insanity. I was watching a video that was pure insanity. Let's see, Google. Motion to dismiss Barry. In the final minutes of a more than 5-hour-long hearing on Thursday in Fremont, attorneys for Chaffee County man charged with killing his wife told the court they filed a motion to dismiss the case against Barry Morphew. Now that says that the judge denied the motion. No. That's February 10th. Hold on. It's the 24th. We feel strongly the court should dismiss this case. We really think the court should take severe sanctions including dismissal. So I'm going to assume that that means that the prosecution did not get the phone records to the defense. Prosecutors mismanaged the case, including missed deadlines. The lone attorney representing the prosecution in person in court Thursday arrived at the courthouse 30 minutes late. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Prosecutors have also not complied with deadlines imposed by the judge several months ago, detailing witness lists. Judge Lama, who took over the case in January, has not made a ruling. Lama said in his courtroom, there are pending arguments that need to be resolved before a ruling is made. The motion has not been made available to the public. What? Morphy was arrested, charged with murder, among other charges, May 21, a year after his wife, Suzanne, disappeared. Suzanne's body still missing. Fremont County plans to send out 1,000 jury summons. Next hearing is March 4th, which is next week. They've sent out subpoenas to 7 people. Morphew's lawyers told the court the subpoenas include the director of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the deputy director of the CBI, and the head of the Major Crimes Unit for the CBI. In the past months, the credibility of one of the CBI investigators in the case has come into question. Former CBI agent Cahill resigned from the Bureau in December amid an internal affairs investigation after an accidental discharge of a weapon while he was off duty and in his home. Cahill sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the hand. Well, maybe he was cleaning his gun. John Camper, the director of the CBI, called Cahill's actions careless or imprudent, resulting in the accidental discharge. Memorandum states that Cahill lied to investigators looking into what happened. I find that he was intentionally misleading in his statements. I'm more troubled by the lengths he went to support the falsehood. Cahill was attempting to remove a gun light that he owned from his CBI-issued weapon because he said he was planning to resign from the CBI on that day. Cahill bought a new gun light to attempt to cover his lie when he was interviewed by another CBI agent. Before admitting to the truth, Cahill initially lied on 4 occasions upon being specifically asked when he purchased a new gun light before correction. Morphew's trial is set for April the 28th, and it's going to last 5 weeks. 5 weeks? That's a long time for me to be off work. Damn. I won't be there the whole 5 weeks. All right. Man. I'm with Martin. Something else is going on in the background. They're going after somebody else. Something else is happening. Something's happening. It's the elite cabal against us, little people. Hey. I ain't no little people. Why is Barry so important to these power people? Well, now that is the question that we are all asking. Even Barry behind the bars wants to know, what does Barry know? Yeah? Did he fall or was he pushed? Thank you, Martin. Very interesting, isn't it? Wow. Very interesting. Huh. You know, one thing I noticed, Martin? One thing I noticed is like, how do I say this? It was interesting to me when I went up there for the preliminary hearing. It was so interesting to me, the people that were in the courtroom, right? there was, of course, the family, which you would expect. And there was the, the local newspaper, which I would expect. And then it would, Suzanne's friends. And there were so many of her friends. And they were there at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting to make sure they got a place in the courtroom. Good friends, right? And then the rest of the people there were either YouTube creators or, ABC, CBS, NBC. For Barry Morphew? What? For a hearing where they gave us, we had I believe we had 10 benches in the courtroom. And these are small benches. They're not very long. You could only put 3 people per bench. Can somebody explain to me, little old Barry Morphew, little nobody from Indiana who likes to play around, in the dirt on his, pretend bulldozer, right? Somebody explain to me how you got a courtroom that's only got 10 half benches. Most of those benches are taken up by court people or family of the defendant or local media. And then everybody else there is ABC, CBS, NBC. What? That's crazy. But then what went through my mind, what about all of those kind of big, important, shady kind of guys that Barry tended to surround himself with? A lot of people talk about seeing Barry, and he was always with guys that made you kind of stand up a little straighter, walk a little more carefully, and kind of, quit talking till you passed them to make sure it was safe. So you can tell me Barry Morphew surrounded himself with all of these rich, important men that not a single one of them was his friend and would come to court with him? But they didn't. They didn't. There was not a single, what I would say, friend in the courtroom with Barry. Not one. Barry is toxic. No, weird vibe. I'm telling you, I just had a feeling of, I need to get away. That's the only feeling. I just felt like I don't like this. There's something wrong. I don't like this. Don't look at me. Look the other way. The silence from Suzanne's family makes me think they may know something else is going on and they're being very patient. That is an excellent point, Mama Lynn. Absolutely. If people are not woke by now, not too much we can do to help them. Because he's a D. He's a something. There's no doubt about that. If Barry Morphew gets away with murder, we all know that he did it. Know that it exists anyway, but I'll be officially giving up on justice and the belief and concept of it. Well, I will tell you this. My response to that is that Suzanne's friend was tearful and was trying not to cry as she said to me, please tell people that Suzanne did not drink and she did not get high. Please let them know the truth. That's pretty honest, right? That's pretty honest when somebody is saying to a complete stranger, if you really do have a YouTube channel, please tell the truth about my friend. It was pretty hard. It got me. My heart was broken. They trust the sheriff. No, I think Barry somehow has connections to very powerful people. I think what happened with Cahill is highly suspect. highly suspect. I think this is an unbelievable set of circumstances. I think it's the whole thing has played out. The fact he comes up with the two biggest lawyers maybe in the country right now, I find it shocking. Nobody's even talking about Suzanne. Suzanne has left the building. Nobody seems to even remember that she's a part of this. It's terrible. And let me be careful too when I say that. I'm not talking about her friends. Her friends have been true blue, unwavering. They're loyal. They're making the drive to Canyon City. They're there, and they'll continue to be there. I believe that, my heart and soul. But when I say that nobody's thinking about Suzanne, that it's no longer about Suzanne, I'm talking about the damn judge. I'm talking about the prosecutors, the newspaper, the television media people. It's crazy. All right. I got something I got to do, and then I'll be back in a little while. I would like to say, everybody stay calm. There is a person who is in the process of, well, she wants to inflict a lot of harm on a lot of people. She doesn't really see things clearly, and she's doing some bad things. It's on her. That's all I'm going to say. It's on her, and the consequences will come. I don't want my channel disrupted by the theatrics. I don't intend to drag my channel down or through it. There are a lot of really interesting things that are happening in the world right now. That's what I intend to talk about. And I'm not going to entertain insane stories of crazy people. I'm not. So this whole, I'm going to release all my tapes and you're going to be sorry. Well, you know what? You can only release them once. So if you want to try to hurt somebody, it's on you, and it doesn't make any difference. You'll hurt me one time and then I'll keep on going. So that's that. If you need to pull something out that was 3 years ago and your bad behavior is far more worse, then do it. But don't think that it's going to have, any influence. It's not. It's a sad thing what you're doing, and your family is hurting, and I feel really bad for them. So, all right. I'm not going to say any more about it. Where the doxing is concerned, I hope you guys will report the doxing. I hope you'll report it. And anyone that gets doxed, anyone, it's not right. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk any more about it. I'm not going to be a part of that. There's too much going on that I want to talk about and think about. And you know what? Life goes on, right? All right. It's a very good point about the Mormons. They are very cool and calm. They're, again, consistent, right? They're predictable. So that does inspire confidence. That does make you think they know things. They know how things are going. And maybe, I can admit to being a little histrionic about the whole the prosecution not answering back to these crazy defense hysterics. I wish the prosecution would do more. It doesn't look like they're doing much, but I don't have the information. I'm not the one that knows. The prosecution knows what they have, and the Mormon family knows. And so maybe the reason that the prosecution is not making any movement is because they are confident that nothing is going wrong. So I'm 100% willing to own that. 100% willing to own the fact that I don't know what the prosecutors know and what the Mormon family knows. And I can, I'm not involved in the whole thing. And so that gives me some freedom to have an opinion and sometimes get silly about it or whatever. But I do hope that's the case. I hope Martin is right. And I don't know why Martin wouldn't be, because he's a genius. He knows every part of this case like an encyclopedia. So I probably could learn, and I could probably do well to maybe not get so frustrated with the prosecution. You know what I mean? I hope there is something more going on behind the scenes regarding the Morphew case, because otherwise the prosecution seems highly incompetent. You see, Caldonia, I'm not going to argue with that. That's what it just seems like to me, that the prosecution has been unprepared. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong about that. I really, anytime in these situations with domestic violence, it just seems like it always gets swept under the rug, and there's families living in nightmare situations because they say, well, nobody will believe me. They never believe the victim. So are we just not going to believe Suzanne anymore when she texts that she's scared to be alone with Barry? Is that a normal thing for a woman to say about their husband? No. Most women, their husband is the person they trust more than anyone else on the planet, right? And the guy being a half hour late. What the hell? You didn't know how long it was going to take you? How about you get a damn hotel room the night before so you can be there on time, right, Zelda? Gosh, man, it's frustrating. Hey, Blissful Elixir, you got to go back to the first of the video where we're talking about Chernobyl. We've moved on to Barry Morphew and Scott Peterson. we're just having our chatty time now. Hey, Celeste. Oh, I know, Celeste. It's terrible. It's terrible that you can't get there on time. It's terrible. So my clue is to go look at AK's channel. Okay, I'll go look at AK's channel. "30 minutes late, Alessia. Not 5 minutes late, 30 minutes late. Horrible. Ugh, it's just incredible. If that had been me, I'd have had a hotel room the night before. I would have had a good dinner, make sure I went to bed at 9 o'clock, been well rested, and at the courthouse before it unlocked at 8 a.m. I just don't understand how you're a experienced prosecutor and you can't get to court on time. It's crazy. Yeah, crazy. Okay, peeps, I got to go do something, and the defense have to justify their big pay bill. Yeah, they are built. I did a video, Martin, on the Jodi Arias trial, how much it cost to try her. $3 million. And that was what, 14 years ago. $3 million. I bet they're going to end up billing for $10 million before this is said and done. They do need a crazy buzz, Zelda. So unprofessional, so basic, right? You can't even get to court on time. How the hell are you going to try a case? Yeah. It's a disaster. I just realized how poorly I worded that. It's not where they're from. It's about. All right. Okay, peeps. I got a little chore that I got to get done, and then I'll be back. Okay. Thank y'all all so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. And Hey, Gulf Coast girl, how are you? I need the sunshine, Gulf Coast. What did they do with the sunshine? It's gone. All right. Slept in. Okay, everybody. Y'all have a good afternoon, and I'll keep looking for some ships, some container ships. So far, I hadn't seen any in 3 days. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.